Welcome back. Hope you guys are doing all right. And I'm sure you guys have heard the news already that we're going to be doing this online learning thing for the rest of the school year. It's unfortunate. It's just life, and you guys are living history right now, so it is what it is. In regards to that, I'm going to be putting together a paper. I'll be posting it, like a letter to all of you, about how I'm going to be doing the whole grading thing. I don't really have anything set just yet, but please be on the lookout for that because your grades are what you're here for, and it's gonna be changing a little bit. So hopefully that letter will break everything down for you guys. And it's not meant to hurt you, it's meant to help you, and I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. Moving on to today's lesson. The last two lessons we did were ultimately the vertex and the discriminant. And if you take the vertex and the discriminant, negative b over 2a and b squared minus 4ac, and you put it together, you're going to get one of the most beautiful equations ever, or formulas I should say, the quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. If we were in class, I'd make you guys sing it until you got bored of it. And then again, you don't have to memorize the formula, so don't really worry about that. So since it has both the vertex and the discriminant, let me backtrack. Where exactly does it come from? When we have our equation ax squared equals bx plus c equals 0, if we did math and we subtracted c on both sides and you try and get the x by itself, it's super nasty, and I'm not going to even bother showing it to you. But eventually you're going to get x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So we have this formula. So if we know our a, our b, and our c, we can plug it into this formula in order to find out whatever x is. But now I'm hoping you can look at the discriminant, which was b squared minus 4ac, and truly appreciate that when that number is positive, such as down here, and here is an example, you're going to have two solutions. Then if it's equal to 0, the square root of 0 is 0, which is going to give us one solution. And if it's negative, you guys should all remember, it is impossible to take the square root of a negative number, hence it's undefined, and you're going to have 0 solutions. We will not see that today, and you will not see that on any test in the future. But do note that if you take the square root of a negative number, then there is no solution, which means there are no x-intercepts should you graph the formula. Moving on, here is an example. We have x squared plus 9x plus 14 equals 0. And we put a times c, which is 14 on top, and b goes on the bottom. So what two numbers multiply to 14 and add up to 9? It's 7 and 2. So we write our equation, x plus 7 times x plus 2 equals 0. And when you separate them and you set them both to equal 0, you get negative 7 and negative 2. So that's just a quick review of what we've done in the past. But what if we use the quadratic formula? We know a is 1, b is 9, and c is 14. And when you plug it in, you're going to get, basically, change it up here, you're going to get the second line when you plug in the a's, the b's, and the c's. And you got to do it really slow. You break it down. 9 squared is going to give you 81. And 4 times 14 gives you 56. And don't forget that you're subtracting the 2. The negative 9 stays the same. The 2 stays the same. And 81 minus 56 is 25. So then the square root of 25 is 5. So we're left here. And we have to do negative 9 plus 5 and negative 9 minus 5. So that's why we have these two arrows. And we get our two answers, which is negative 2 and negative 7. So I just wanted to keep it simple for you guys. But what is it going to look like if we do it together? So we have the blue equation, and we know a is equal to 3, We know b is equal to 1 and c is equal to -1. So the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite this again. X equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So we want to plug in all of our values. So the first thing we have is a negative, and b is 1, plus or minus the square root. B is 1, so we're going to do 1 squared minus 4 times a, which is 3, times c, which is -1, all over 2 times a, 2 times 3. So -1 stays the same. And then we're going to have 1 squared. And notice a -4 and a -1. Negative times negative is positive, and 4 times 3 is 12. So we have 1 plus 12. And 2 times 3 is going to give us 6. As we continue that, we have -1 plus or minus the square root of 13 over 6. We can't break down the square root of 13, so the good news is you literally can stop there, and your answer is x equals the -1 plus or minus the square root of 13 divided by 6. All right? That's it. That's your answer. You can't break it down. And if the paper is asking you to round it to the nearest hundredth or nearest tenth, you can simply plug that into your calculator. For the next problem, we'll start off with our A and our B and our C. And the first thing I always do is write the formula out. X equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So since that's the first thing, the second thing we do is plug in all our values. So x equals -b, so b is 2, plus or minus, and then we're going to do b squared, so 2 squared minus 4 times a is 3, 4 times a times c, and c is -7, all over 2a. So as we continue, -2 stays the same, 2 squared is 4, and then again we have two negatives. A negative times a negative is a positive. 4 times 3 is going to give us 12, and 12 times 7, if you have your calculator, it's going to give you, was that 84? And 2 times 3 is 6. So here is something interesting. 4 plus 84 is going to give us 88, and we're going to divide it by 6. But we can break down the square root of 88, and I'll do it in a different color. So I know 4 goes into 88 22 times. And we can break down 4 as 2 times 2, and 22 is 2 times 11. Well, we have two 2's, but the other 2 and the other 11 don't break down. So it's going to break down to 2 times the square root of, and then 2 times 11 gives us 22 underneath. So the next line is going to be written as -2 plus or minus 2 root 22 over 6. And what we can do next is this. We can separate them because they have the same denominator. We can say -2 over 6 plus or minus 2 over 6, and don't forget the square root of 22, and we can actually reduce that. And I know you guys are sitting there thinking like, this is ridiculous. It's tough. I'm not going to say it's not. And since it's ultimately the same denominator, we can actually put them back together. this would ultimately be your final answer. And I get it, this is tough, this is something new, and I really wish we were in the classroom, but unfortunately we are not. So this is your lesson for today. I'm going to give you maybe 2 or 3 examples to do with Google Forms. And again, be on the lookout for a Google Doc. I'm going to post it on the Google Classroom explaining the grade breakdowns and what to expect and what you can do in order to bring your grade up before the semester is over. It's not going to be pass-fail. You are going to be getting a letter grade, an A, B, C, D, or F. And I'll end on a good thing from what I'm hearing. If you had a B going in, apparently I don't think your grade is going to go lower than a B, so it's as good as what it's been. So going into this, I don't think your grade can get any worse. So hope everyone is doing good. I hope you guys are staying sane. You enjoyed your week off, and it's it. Home stretch. Let's get this done. Any questions, please email me. Otherwise, have a lovely day. Bye.